something that Sen is probably looking to do? Do you think he's a bit more comfortable in that environment?
Definitely. I mean, July, obviously one of the strongest early game players, having excellent micro, having just the balls to actually break your opponent early on. And Sen plays a little bit more tricky, a little bit more elaborate in late game, wanting to get high-tech units, playing with mutas, stuff we don't see from many Zerg players.
Looking forward to seeing what actually happens there. And of course, Sen did get nailed down pretty badly there by July, and it is kind of funny, as you say, that yeah, he is a more elaborate player. He likes to go in for the long game, likes to use deception and things like that. Oh, except in the first game, it was just short, brutal, and to the point. And I have to wonder what this crazy role reversal is all about.
Well, July was just reading his opponent very well. It happens many times in CVC that in the first game, a player does aggression and fails, and then for some reason your opponent just thinks to do the same thing in the second game, even though your opponent failed. It doesn't make much sense to me, but that's just how it is.
We shall see how it turns out. Now, this back expansion is going to make things interesting. Of course, you can very easily expand there, and it's incredibly easy to defend, although vulnerable to drop play, and of course, Mutalisks.
Should play into Sen's favor, especially as he was playing mutas against Nalgrim, particular on that map.
We'll see whether or not July decides to go for those Hydralisks. I mean, he's a massive fan of Hydras in pretty much every matchup.
He's actually been quite aggressive with Hydras as well, which we don't see from many players.
Why do you think that is? I mean, is it just down to the speed of them?
Yeah, basically because of creep, Hydras are so damn slow.
Yes, it wouldn't surprise me to see a speed upgrade for Hydras in Heart of the Swarm, but of course that's nothing but speculation.
Well, I'd be surprised. That would be utterly imbalanced.
You're a Terran player. You can't have that. Yeah, you're right, though. There's no question.
I used to be a random player. I just know the game.
A fair point. Yeah. Yeah, that would be awful, come to think of it. Good God, please don't do that.
Xanis actually was invited to the Blizzard headquarters a while ago to help them balance Heart of the Swarm, so interesting to see what he actually put into that game. Probably complete imbalance as he's a Zerg player.
Of course, yeah, nerfing everything that he doesn't use, buffing everything that he does. Sounds reasonable.
I'd do that.
There you go, admitted on the stream right here, folks. Spawning pool is slightly ahead for July Zerg, not by a huge amount. Hatcheries coming up for both in the back expansions.
Everything looking normal.
Nothing unusual in the first few minutes of this game. I have to say, I don't usually see Ultralisks deployed in ZVZ. Usually the game doesn't even go on that long, and if it does go to Hive Tech, it's usually Broodlords.
Yeah, but as we saw, it kind of failed pretty hard. But I think it could have worked out if Sen would actually have saved his Infestors to protect the Swine Crawlers, but for some reason he put them out in the map and wasted all of them.
An unfortunate move there by Sen, and yeah, watching the Ultras get melted was actually kind of upsetting. I mean, I love Ultralisks as a unit, just they get used so little at the moment. And yeah, you might think, well, you know, they're big, stumpy, they're dangerous, but it's 5 Ultras and July had a massive army, so it wasn't going to last that long.
Not even an Ultralisk can take out an entire army, even so Ultralisks are definitely underrated.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see them used a little bit more in the metagame. Baneling Nest on the way up for Sen right now. That's the first deviation. July not bothering with that for the moment. He's going purely into macro.
Once again, not mining any gas anymore, wanting to get a few extra turns.
And he's doing a good job of doing just that. It's going to put Sen slightly behind in terms of the economy, and it's going to matter whether or not he can actually get a Baneling into the mineral line and do some real damage.
However, July is very prepared now. He saw the Baneling Nest, and I'd actually love to see Sen cancel his Baneling Nest now that July got that false information.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying that Crevasse actually doesn't really favor Banelings.
No, absolutely not. You have quite a tight ramp there, but the road turn is a little bit late for July, so he might be in trouble.
There is a possibility, certainly. The Roach Warren is currently 20 seconds off completion. There's a few Zerglings streaming across the map right now. A Baneling Morphin could happen pretty much anywhere. The question is, will Sen actually go for it? Will he be able to exploit that window of opportunity?
Looks like he's going for it. Will be morphing in Banelings at the Watchtower now, and an attack will be immediate.
However, July Zerg is not going to allow that to happen. He's streaming across the map right now. He looks for the Banelings. That's an interception. And, oh, wow. Oh, July might have seen that. There was one little cocoon that he may have noticed for a fraction of a second. It depends just how much attention he was paying to that one. And Sen was doing a fantastic job of deflecting what was coming in now. Sen streaming in. There are some roaches on the field.
in the meantime, July is in the base of Sen himself, taking out the Queen even.
Oh, very nicely done there by July, as you can see. And we need to check out what's going on with those Banelings. Banelings actually detonating on the roaches, so bare minimum damage done there. However, Sen is harassing the mineral line of July, and it looks like Sen's managed to force July out.
Beautiful defense by July, but still losing a lot of turns.
Yeah, it's messy. So Sen's managed to kill 5 workers. I should point out that July has killed none. Even though he got into the base, he was able to take out a Queen, certainly, but he didn't kill any drones at all. And that means the drone count is now slightly in favor of Sen.
However, supply count does speak for July. He has a lot of roaches out there, and roaches obviously being a lot more effective than circling the banelings in an even fight.
Evolution Chamber coming down for July, so going in for a longer game. And Sen going for the lair, actually putting it at the back there, which is kind of nice. That makes it a little harder to scout. And we'll see whether or not he decides to go for that muta play again.
Definitely a possibility, but July following up with a lair himself, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Infestors and Hydras once again being the perfect counter against mutas.
Yeah, it's pretty much an identical build order to the last game. That double evolution chamber followed by the lair. It will probably be a missile attack level upgrade and possibly Carapace level 1. And if that's the case, which it is, then I would suggest that it's going to be Hydralisks following that up, especially if he gets scouting information.
Once again, July is spreading out his overlords. It always looks so beautiful when players do it well. But endangering him to lose a lot of supply against mutas.
It's certainly a risk, there's no question about that. July deciding he wants to move out, and he does have 11 roaches to do that with, so really Sen's going to have trouble stopping that, but it's going to take them a while to get across the map, and he's going to see it coming a mile away. And the Spire has now started for Sen, which was to be expected.
Definitely, however, we will see in some seconds if July is going to be prepared. His lair finished himself. What tech will he decide to go for?
Well, as the speed upgrade, I was going to say that's Baneling speed just got started by Sen and then immediately cancelled. Infestor play coming up for July, no Hydras as of yet.
I suspect an Overseer to be coming for July again, and there it is.
Yep.
It will scout the Spire eventually.
The question is, where's the Spire hidden? The Spire's hidden at the natural right now. Queen moving to intercept. Unfortunately, Overseers are quite durable. Queens don't do a huge amount of damage, and they're also kind of slow. However, July's actually going in the wrong direction. Sen might be able to take this Overseer out.
But there is a changeling in the natural of Sen, so he did see it after all.
Ah, very nice indeed. He spots it. He hasn't responded to it just yet. Little inconclusive engagement right now in the middle of the map as Sen charges in against roaches, which needless to say is not going to work out very well. He's getting out of there as quickly as possible. Infestation pick coming up for Sen as well. Spire is now complete. We're still seeing no Hydralisk Den.
Yeah, July is being very smart actually. He just wants to go for a counter-attack with roaches, knowing Sen won't have enough units to deal with pure roaches. And even when units come out, they have a very low DPS to deal with roaches.
Right now, Sen trying to engage and not doing so effectively in the middle of the map as July streams across the field with a very large group. There are 11 Mutalisks on the way up for Sen, and of course they don't take a long time to build. And those roaches streaming in, those mutas will pop out at just the right time to engage. That is not going to stop July from doing heavy damage to the mineral line, however. The armor and the HP of those roaches extremely powerful, and tearing his way through the mineral line of Sen, and a good little wall off he's got right here as well, trying to stop himself from being exposed to the drones. Units lost is getting very, very messy. July's already taken out 12 drones, way more coming in. The mutas will eventually clean this up, but that's a lot of economic damage, especially as July's also attacked the third base of Sen and is working on trying to take down that hatchery.
At the same time, he also went into the natural, preventing any mining with circling. Great job by July, taking out almost the entire economy of Sen.
It's messy, there's no question. It's 36 drones to 58 right now. The Mutalist count for Sen is looking really, really good. There are 6 Infestors coming up for July, so he's going to be relying entirely on fungal growth and Infestor Terran. Down goes the third base, and a very, very nice bit of timing there by July, and Sen in an awful lot of trouble.
Spore Crawlers in every base now. Infestors are ready. Obviously, Fungal Growth plus Spore Crawlers, perfect defense against mutas.
It shouldn't be a problem. It really, really shouldn't. The Spore Crawler at the front right there, Spore Crawler at the back. And really, Sen relying entirely on that Mutalisk force. And to be fair, as you said, he's not going to be able to get all that close with it.
Absolutely not. But Sen is going for speed up kit for Banelings himself. Not sure if it's a wise decision against massive Festers.
It's certainly an interesting one, and July decides to grab a few Zerglings for free, and the rest of them cleaned up. In the meantime, actually, Sen manages to get into the natural, but he's taking a lot of fire from the ground now, and he's trying to look for an angle. He doesn't have one. It's just simply not going to be the case. There's too good anti-air defense, really. He's got great spread on the Spore Crawlers.
We are getting Hydra's speed upgrade finally as well, so he will be adding Hydras himself. And then there's really nothing Sen can do to stop an incoming attack by July.
And he's trying to intercept them nonetheless. The problem is those mutas really aren't doing an awful lot of damage to those roaches, which is to be expected. A great fungal growth there by Jelizug. Mass damage, and that's a second fungal to follow it up. That should rip through the majority of the Mutalisk count right here for Sen, and his army count is falling rapidly.
He should be throwing down Infested Terrans now.
Mass Infested Terrans, there we go, and that will clean up the rest of it. He's losing all the Infestors in the process, but the Mutalisk will get shot out of the air.
Only 3 mutas left, but there will be 10 more incoming, so Sen's still looking strong in his air force. But there are a lot of fighters falling up now, with +2 attack upgrade coming in too, while the mutas are completely unupgraded.
That's very unpleasant. Unfortunately, Infested Terrans don't move all that fast, and they're sort of hobbling over there, and they fall over and do absolutely nothing, but they were able to repulse most of the Mutalisks. The Mutalisk count now is back up to 11, which is quite nice for Sen. Unfortunately, his worker supply count is not looking pretty, and neither is his army supply. As soon as those Hydras get into the mix, those mutas are going to be shut down very effectively.
Hydras plus Infestors, perfect count against mutas once again. And Sen was losing a lot of overloads himself now, because he didn't he had them in the front of the third base of July, and obviously he does have anti-air himself now.
July's been supply blocked right there. There's a little bit of a Baneling detonation going on from Sen, who's able to use that to deal with the incoming Zerglings. Now, of course, the Banelings work pretty well against Hydras as well. Unfortunately, a lot of firepower raining down on Sen's third base right here. Mutas charging in, looking for Baneling detonations. He is able to do some damage, and looks for the surround. We'll have to see if he's able to clean it up right here. The Hydra's count in July is falling rapidly. He's going to have to sacrifice as many mutas as he can, and he looks like he might be able to clean up the Hydras. I'm more concerned about those roaches, unfortunately.
Roaches going into the natural of Sen once again, aiming to take out the Spire.
Apparently the Mutalisks are a massive threat, and I don't blame him. I think perhaps he maybe wants to build less Hydralisks, considering the Baneling count right now. Sen is going to lose that third base, unfortunately, and July's force will be cleaned up in the natural. He's not going to be able to take out the Spire, but he did lose that third base again, so that's not helping.
Yeah, Sen being completely out of position, Hydra's pushing in once again, and they can start working on those overlords.
So they're going to cut through them, there's no question about that. 1 down, 2 down, and those mutas will be cut into tiny little pieces and shot out of the sky very, very easily. This is a mass drone pull from Sen. This might be the end for him. He's pulling everything off the line to try and repulse as many of these as humanly possible. A little bit of transfuse action on that muta. It's taken out very, very rapidly. GG! Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. And July into the semi-final.